Welcome to Elliott's PT podcast. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping people make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they will take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to live and find a perfect balance in diet and exercise that suits our individual needs. I want to help you find your exercise mojo, feel great and achieve wonderful things. Here is Elliott's PT podcast by Renae Elliott. Hello, and welcome back to Elliott's PT podcast. Today I want to talk about sleep and why sleep is one of the most important things for you if you are on a weight loss journey, on any journey, not just weight loss, but sleep is where the magic happens. And even people with the very best diet and fitness routine, if your sleep is off, it definitely will hinder your results. Whether you're looking to build muscle, whether you're looking to lose weight, whether you're looking to maintain weight, sleep is so important for everything. And, you know, if we have an example of two women, and one is the model, I guess, of fitness success, she knows how to slim down and she's got the body to show for it. And your other friend, her heart's in the right place and no matter how hard she works, she struggles with progress and she really doesn't have that body that she wants. And you talk to them both and you see they both have very similar kind of routines. You know, they eat meals that's focused on protein and vegetables. They exercise at least 3 times a week, focusing on both weights and cardio, and they know which foods are truly healthy and what to limit, and they actually do that. So then one of them is struggling, and she can't maintain her focus, and she's got trouble controlling her hunger, she's craving sweets, and despite her biggest efforts in the gym, you know, she's not really getting the results that she wants, where the other one is, you know, she's the model of fitness and she's hitting goals every week. And, you know, it may seem obvious that maybe your first friend is not sticking to her diet as well as she thinks she is. And then maybe if her exercise isn't working, then it probably means she doesn't really know how to train properly. And maybe it could be genetics and maybe it could be willpower, but maybe there could be something that we haven't considered here at all. Maybe their sleep cycle is different. Maybe our friend A doesn't sleep at all. Maybe she gets 3-4 hours sleep. She's distracted by kids. And maybe our second friend gets a solid 8 hours sleep at night. Sleep is massive and it can be the difference between that. That can be the thing that can really hinder your result. You know, we've always heard that anyone that is looking for weight loss, it's definitely going to be around eating more and eating less and moving more. And we've all heard the quote, eat less, move more. But it's generally, it's not that simple. There are so many other things that can also play into it that we want to start to notice and pay attention to. And the number one thing is sleep. And sometimes with a busy life and with running kids to places, working, doing all the things you need to do, you know, and then trying to get a good night's sleep, it may seem totally impossible, but there are definitely some things that you can be doing to put sleep as a bit of a focus and make it a priority. And when we think about it, and you'll realize how much better you feel, and it is so worth doing. Research has shown that about 30% of adults don't sleep enough. And it's really interesting when you look at the statistics between obesity and sleep, they're very similar. Less than 7 hours of sleep per night can reduce and undo the benefits of diet, according to research of a healthy diet. So if you are trying to eat well and you are trying to lose weight, but you are not getting enough sleep, if you're getting under 7 hours, it can definitely hinder your results. So start to pay attention to how much sleep am I getting, and see if you can see any correlations between them. So there was a study that dieters were put on different sleep schedules, and when their bodies received adequate amounts of rest, so when they got enough sleep, they lost half of their weight. It was from actual fat. But when they cut back on sleep, the amount of weight they lost was actually half. they lost half of the weight of what they did than what they did when they got more sleep, even though they were eating the same food. So that shows you there how important sleep is. And what's more is that they felt significantly hungrier, less satisfied after meals, and they lacked energy to exercise when they hadn't got enough sleep. So the participants on the sleep-deprived diet, they experienced a 55% reduction in fat loss compared to the well-rested counterparts. So that's massive. So that's massive. I want you to think, what is your sleep like? And do you remember the last time you had a bad night's sleep? How did it make you feel when you woke up? Did you feel exhausted, dazed, confused, maybe a little grumpy? It's not just your brain that's affected, your body, your fat cells are also affected. And when your body is sleep deprived, it suffers from something called metabolic grogginess. And there was another article that analyzed sleep, and they found that after 4 days of poor sleep, which could happen very easily in a week, one late night leads to another late night, and you've got to catch up from the night before, and the next thing you know, you're in a total sleep debt. And then you think, oh, but it's only a few nights. How bad can it be? I'll just have some coffee and I'll survive on the coffee. But within 4 days of being sleep deprived, your body's ability to properly use insulin becomes completely disrupted. And research has shown that insulin sensitivity dropped by more than 30%. So why would this be bad? Well, when insulin is functioning well, your fat cells remove fatty acids and lipids from your body bloodstream to prevent it being stored. When you become more insulin resistant, the fats, they circulate, or the lipids, they circulate in your bloodstream, and they pump out more insulin, and eventually this excess in insulin ends up being stored in the wrong place. So you can see how much from just a few days, how it starts to add up. And I understand it is hard as a mum. It is hard if you have little kids, that your sleep is not perfect. But I think there's lots of things that you can do to make it a bit more of a priority and to do what you can in the situation that you're in. So we are, there are things out of our control. There's things there's things that you can't help if you've got little kids, if they're waking up, if, I know in our household, we still don't have a full night's sleep. I know I'd have to get up at least once to a child, and I know that that's nothing compared to other people. I'd have to get up maybe once or twice, or, and then someone ends up in our bed, and then you end up getting kicked. And, this Charlie was laying diagonal, and she's got a little bit of a cold, so she was snoring. Yeah. And I ended up getting up because I thought, I cannot lay here anymore. So my nights are definitely not perfect, but I put sleep as a priority. I do put sleep as a priority. So some of the things that I do to make sure is I do go to bed early. The first time I ever really understood, I knew about sleep. I knew how important it was, but I probably didn't focus on it. And I thought, I need to focus on my sleep. I wanted to maybe lose a few kilos. I knew my food was pretty good. I knew my exercise routine was good. So I was like, okay, what else do I need to look at? And sleep was something. So I looked at my phone. I have an iPhone. So I'm sure if you have an iPhone, you can do this, but I'm sure other phones have something very similar, that it gave you a sleep thing. So I went in there and it said, I knew that I needed a minimum of 7 hours sleep. So in order to get that, with the time that I had to get up in the morning, I put it on the schedule, and then I was like, I needed to make sure that I was asleep by 9, which I didn't realize. And maybe some nights I'd be asleep at 9, but it wasn't something I ensured happen. So some nights you might stay up a little bit later, and it might be 10 or 11, but once I did this, I was like, okay, I have to be asleep at 9 to make sure that I'm getting the right amount of sleep. I then get a reminder on my phone that sets off, that reminds me that I have to start winding down and getting ready for bed. And when I did that, it gives me reminders, and it's something that I do now make sure it happens. And the more that I've done it, I realize how crappy I feel when I don't get enough sleep, and how much better my day runs when I do get enough sleep. And whether that means that I don't get to stay up and watch TV, or I don't get to do a lot of activities after the kids go to bed, it is something that I've chosen to do because it's important to me. And that means getting enough sleep means more to me than sitting up and watching a TV show. Or it means more to me, and that's why I have made it a priority. So the thing that I think about, and I encourage you to think about, is, if you are, I understand as a mum, and I understand that we want to have sometimes that time at night is the only time that you get to yourself. It's that only little bit of time that you do get to yourself, and you want to, sometimes it's the only time you get with your partner as well. And I get all of that. And I know that stuff's important too. I just, for those extra, I just ask you to think about, if you stay up those extra couple of hours later than what you maybe should be going to bed, is those couple of hours of staying up, is it really worth how you feel the next day? So is it worth the 16 hours of the next day being overtired? And the other things that happen when you're overtired, is that worth it? And that's what you need to weigh up. And you just need to weigh up, is that worth it for you? For me, it wasn't. So that's why I make it a priority, and I do go to bed earlier. My time with my husband had to change, because he will stay up late, but he also gets to sleep in a lot more than me. So where I've got to get up between 4 and 4:30, depending on my day, he can get up at 7. Our times are very different, and it's just something that we've had to work out and be okay with, because sleep is important to me. When you are sleep deprived, there are so many other things that happen that maybe you don't even realize, and how that being that sleep deprived and being tired, it can be the thing that it's just that snowball effect. So many people think that when you're hungry, it's related to like a willpower, learning to control the calling of your stomach, and that it's just a matter of willpower, that you should be able to not do it. But hunger is controlled by 2 hormones, leptin and ghrelin. And leptin is a hormone that's produced in your fat cells, and the less leptin you produce, the more that your stomach feels empty. And the more ghrelin you produce, the more you stimulate hunger, while also reducing the number of calories you burn. So that's the 2 hormones that we have. In order to control leptin and ghrelin to successfully lose weight, we want to be able to control them to be able to lose weight successfully. But when you are sleep deprived, it makes it nearly impossible to control those hormones. There's another research article that found that sleeping less than 6 hours, it triggers areas of your brain that increase the need for food, while also decreasing leptin and stimulating ghrelin. It's really good to be able to look at research and to see, because it is something that has been researched and it's been proven how important sleep is and how it does affect your weight loss. And it's really important to look at research and see, and you can't, the results are there. The evidence is in the pudding. You can see how much sleep deprivation does affect your weight loss. Not only that, but everything else. And, so when we don't get enough sleep, your cortisol levels rise. And this is the stress hormone that is frequently associated with fat cells. The cortisol, it activates the reward centers in our brain that make us want food. At the same time, the lack of sleep causes your body to produce more ghrelin. And the combination of high ghrelin and cortisols, they shut down the areas of our brain that leave you feeling satisfied after a meal. So it's meaning that you're still feeling hungry all the time, even if you ate a big meal. Generally, when we are lacking sleep and we're tired, it's going to push us into the direction of foods that you probably know that you probably shouldn't really be eating, because you are going to, you're going to want that quick hit. So that more sugary foods, because you're going to want that quick hit of sugar, which is going to, it's going to give you that quick increase, but then you're going to come dropping back down. It's also been said that being sleep deprived is like being drunk, and that we just don't have the mental clarity to make good complex decisions, specifically in regards to the food that we're eating or the foods that we want to avoid. And it doesn't help by the fact that when you are overtired, we have increased activity in the reward part of our brain, and it's wanting us to crave high calorie foods. And normally we'd be able to fight back this desire, but because different parts of our brains are weakened due to sleep deprivation, we have trouble fighting that urge, and we're more likely to indulge in the wrong foods when we are feeling sleep deprived. Especially, I know for me, I feel like, I just need that little fix, or that sweet something. There was also another research article that said that greater lack of sleep was associated with having bigger portion sizes of our food. So interesting, isn't it? But which then obviously increases the likelihood of us weight gain. Again, so lack of sleep affects our food and our food choices. So generally when you're tired, you're not going to feel like making a healthy, a more nutritious meal or balancing it out. You are going to want to just go something quick that you can grab. When you are tired, you are going to crave more higher sugary foods. When you are tired, the research also shows that you are going to generally put a bigger serving size on your plate. So that's the first thing. But not only that, when we are more tired, it's going to affect your workouts, and muscle is so important. So muscle it's the enemy of fat. So muscles help you burn fat and stay younger, but sleep or lack of sleep is the enemy of your muscle, because sleep deprivation decreases your body's ability to make muscle. So when we are tired, it is the lack of sleep. It makes it harder for your body to recover from exercise. It slows down the production of your growth hormone, and which is your natural source of anti-aging and fat burning, and it also facilitates your recovery. It also affects your workout, because you're not going to be able to work out to your true ability or work out as hard as you probably could on a day that you're more tired compared to a day that you have less sleep compared to a day where you've had more sleep. So poor sleep means less slow wave sleep, which is when the most of your growth hormone is released, and a poor night's rest increases the stress hormone cortisol, which slows down the production of the growth hormone. So it's just this vicious cycle. So it affects everything. There was another research article, which this was the big eye opener for me, that it showed that women who were under 7 hours, who were sleep deprived, so they got less than 7 hours a night. So a third of them were more likely to gain generally a kilo a year. Yeah, generally would gain a kilo a year compared to people that had over 7 hours sleep. So, that's something that's, you can control your sleep. You can make sure that you put it as a priority. And these people, they've done nothing else. So they might be eating all the right foods, that might be exercising the right way, and that they are still not getting enough sleep. And without doing that, there's a chance that they can gain an extra kilo a year. That was a big eye opener for me. Now, you can see how sleep affects everything, and it makes it really, really hard to lose weight when we are sleep deprived because of hormones and how it affects our whole body. But how can you make sleep a priority for you? How can you make sure that you are getting sleep, even if you have little kids and it does seem impossible? So what would I do? I would look at getting a good sleep routine. I would look at the time that you do go to bed. Yes, I understand with kids the battle, but ask yourself the question I asked you before: is it worth to stay up those extra couple of hours compared to getting to sleep earlier and having? I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that the more sleep you get before midnight is, like, in quality wise, it's like double than after midnight. I don't know if that's true or not. I should actually look it up. But anyway, that's what I tell myself. So is that worth it? And then, so sometimes I know there's things like, when the kids go to bed, then this is when I do this job, that job. And, so maybe think about it. Can those jobs be left? Can they be done earlier in the day? Can you say, can I get help from your partner or someone else to do them so that it's not all up to you? So just think about how, maybe those things can be done earlier, so then you're not having to do them all after the kids go to bed. doing things to help you get to sleep. So I find different meditations really help me in going to sleep. I don't actually ever have trouble going to sleep, but they help me get a deeper sleep when I do. I love doing restorative yoga. So it can just be 10 minutes, but that little bit of restorative yoga, I get to bed and I have a deeper sleep and I sleep better when I've done restorative yoga before I go to sleep. If you are somebody that does have trouble winding down, so there's research has shown stuff to do with screens, the blue light from your phones, from your iPads, all of those things, that they can affect your sleep. So it's looking at them and maybe keeping away from them if that's something that affects you. If you're a coffee person, coffee stays in your body for like 12 hours. So if you are someone that's had a coffee in the afternoon, you might not think it affects you, but maybe look at not having coffee after lunchtime and see if that improves your sleep. The other thing is alcohol. I know lots of people feel that alcohol helps them go to sleep or helps them with sleep, but alcohol it might help you go to sleep, but you don't get as good a quality sleep when you've had a drink. And I am not a big drinker, but I got caught in a bit of a phase where I was having a glass or two of wine every night. And then I stopped, and I actually realized that I had a fuzziness that I didn't realize I had, because that had gone when I had stopped having that glass or two of wine after, dinner or whatever. And so alcohol, I know people feel that it helps, but it actually hinders your sleep. So it makes your sleep worse off. So I would look at that. But the more thing is that to test things out and see what works for you and your body. For me, I don't have trouble going to sleep. I know the things now through time and through trying them over time, what really works for me. And then I find something that I like, and then I go, I'm going to keep doing that because I get a better night's sleep when I do so. And I only done it through trial and error. Like for me, watching something on my iPad before I go to sleep, it doesn't affect my sleep. It doesn't affect my sleep that I know of, and I'm fine with that, where other people, they do know that they are affected by the blue light. So it's just looking at those things and working out what works for you, but make sleep a priority. Make sleep a priority, and then you will notice how much better you feel. And then it's so worth it. It is so worth it. Like I said before, we still would get woken up a few times a night from kids. And sometimes I'm like, this is worse than when you were babies. But I've kind of worked out a system that works for us, and you just have to work out that system with you, whether it means generally we end up now, we have at least one kid in our bed every night. And I used to fight it. I used to sit on the floor and try to get them back to sleep. But then I realized that was making me, and this is my choice, and you make the choice yourself. I realized that was keeping me awake. And then I would stress about being awake and stress that I needed to get up in a couple of hours, and wanting them to go to sleep, and then they wouldn't go to sleep, I think because they would probably sense that urgency of mine of them to go to sleep. And so then I ended up being like, if I pick them up and I put them in my bed, that takes me 2 minutes and I can go straight back to sleep. So that's what I do now, and I'm okay with that. And there will be a point that they don't come to our bed anymore, and that will be fine too. But what I've started doing is, because that they end up sleeping diagonal or whatever else, I get up and I end up getting up when they're like that, and I go to another bed, and that's fine too. So you have to do what works for you, and there's never a perfect way, but just think about your sleep. And I just think that lots of us could maybe try to go to sleep that little bit earlier, because again, if you've got children, you've got them that keep you up, think about when are they more likely to wake up. So mine generally don't wake up before midnight. But if I go to bed at 11, then, then I'm only going to get, say, an hour or so, or a couple of hours before they wake up. But if I go to bed at 9, or if I make sure I'm asleep at 9, I'm going to know that I'm going to get a solid 3 or 4 hours before I may get woken up. So think about that, and how can you I actually, since reading the statistic of people putting on 1 kilo a year just from lack of sleep, I have actually started going to bed a little bit earlier. So I've set my alarm to go to bed at 8:30. So we're trying to be in bed at 8:30. Yep, it's early, but yep. I don't know what I'm going to do when they get older and they stay up later. I'll have to cross that bridge when it comes. But I've been, trying to get to bed, and it just that little bit of extra sleep, it feels really good. And for me, that outweighs staying up later. But again, you just have to work out what works for you. So it's all individual, and it's only what works for you. So sleep is so important. It is so important, and it's generally the forgotten thing, or people don't realize the importance of it. So I want you from here to start to realize how important sleep is and how it can affect you. So please look at your sleep. And if you are someone that doesn't get a great night's sleep, the other thing is that I should have said and I forgot, is the food you're eating before you go to bed. So a lot of times, if you are someone that is waking up through the night, so maybe if you are somebody that's going through menopause, different times that we're waking up through the night is being shown to do with our digestion. So I want you to think about how eating different foods before you go to sleep, how that affects you. So like red meats and those types of things tend to take a lot longer to digest. So that could be something that could be affecting your sleep if you're having that before bed. So you could maybe try to have a vegetarian meal or fish, and see if that improves your sleep. And just think about that, and do trial and error for what foods work for you. There are foods that can help you sleep. Foods that kiwi fruit, I think was one of them, has natural melatonin in it. So there's things like that may help aid you in going to sleep or getting a better night's sleep. But food is another important aspect that can and will make a difference to your sleep. So so think about all those things. Start to make sleep a priority, because when you're getting good night's sleep, everything else falls into place and you will feel so much better for it. So please, if you think this would help anybody, please make sure you share it. And if it has helped you, please let me know. I would love to know. I would love to hear from you if you've been able to think about your sleep a bit differently and improve your sleep from listening to this. So I will speak to you again very soon, and I hope that you all get a good night's sleep tonight.
Thanks for listening to the Elliott's PT podcast. I hope you have been able to find this information of use to you. If you know someone who might enjoy this podcast, please share it with them, and ensure that you subscribe so you can be the first to know when new podcasts are released. If you have the time to leave a 5-star review, that would be amazing, and it would be greatly appreciated. If you do so, please screenshot and share onto any of our socials and tag us. Then email the screenshot to hello@elliotspt.com, and we will send you a free gift to your inbox. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day. Speak soon.